Hey guys, it's Joshua Peterson here, Peterson Electric. I kind of slowed down on a few videos this last couple months. For those of you that followed me, yeah, thanks for following me. We put out our YouTube channel about 14 months ago. No, sorry, 14 years ago. And it's been okay. You know, I don't have tons and tons of subscribers. If you want to hit that subscribe button and share it, we'd really appreciate that. I don't make a lot of money on it, just a few $100. Just kind of helps me put it right back into my SEO to help me with it. But thanks for your support. A lot of my heart behind the YouTube channel was just to help other guys decide if they want to be an electrician. I get calls about once a week, for maybe twice a week now, for people wanting to be an electrician. This video is going to be for my SEO guy, and I know he told me to slow down a little bit on them, which I have, because he wants to focus on the SEO. But this video is going to be about, should I be an electrician? You know, I have to say this. When I got into this trade, I first went to Front Range Community College. My background is I was born in Minnesota, and we came out here when I was 5 or 6, somewhere around that time, around 85, 86. Lived in Colorado Springs for a little bit, and then Montbello, which we called Mount Ghetto at the time when I lived there as a kid. I was there about 6 years. I was basically, there were 7 whites in the whole entire school, and I was number 7. It was kind of a good time down there, definitely kind of a fearful time at that moment in the 80s. But I was subject to all the MTV coming out and pulling out the wax cardboard on the driveway and breakdancing with a lot of the neighbor kids. But anyways, we moved up to Fort Collins probably about 6 years later, when I was in 6th grade. And I went to Barton Elementary, Lesher Junior High, and then to Fort Collins High. It was quite the culture shock. We used to call it Vanillaville, coming back down to Fort Collins. It was quite interesting. But yeah, it was a very nice community, very small, quaint, and quiet. Definitely it's a little bit more eclectic now, which is great. There's a lot more different types of people and cultures down there. Definitely love Northern Colorado. This is my home. But yeah, I married my bride. I met her she was in high school. I just graduated Fort Collins High, and we've been together now 30 years. We just celebrated our 27th anniversary. And as far as my kids go, I've got 3 children. This year in 2024, this is 2025 of January, the video, but of 2024, my kids actually got married. My son and my daughter-in-law, and my daughter and my son-in-law, all within 5 months of each other. Not quite perfectly planned, but they did find their soulmate, and they jumped out and just trusted God. For a lot of you guys that don't know me, I try not to get into a lot of politics about life. I don't really feel like that keeps people together. I feel like it's a separation. But I do talk about the Lord. I was signing up to be a Marine in '94. I wanted to maybe be a police officer. I was definitely going into doing ride-alongs in Fort Collins. And I'd have to say that God interrupted my life. I went to Front Range Community College for about 1.5 years, and then I pulled out. My parents ended up splitting apart that year again, the second time, and so I just decided to see what God wanted me to do. But I went to Bible college for about 2 years, 95 to 97. When I got out, my wife was finishing up her student teaching at UNC. We got married in 97, and you know, God led me down the path to get into appliance technician for about 2.5 years. And then when I realized that that was a good job and I loved electrical, it wasn't really like, I wanted to have my own company in a different way. But then all of a sudden, my pastor, who got me in appliances, then got me an opportunity to get into electrical. And I've been in electrical now as an electrician for 25 years. My wife and I started our business out 21 years, well, just about 21 years ago. That's about 20, somewhere around there. It was kind of a test run when we went out to Tennessee. I'd have to say this: when you get into your own business, it's definitely a calling. You definitely have to walk in that ability to walk, what I call in the book of Proverbs in the Bible. Not to lecture you, but definitely I live my life by the book of Proverbs. There's 31 Proverbs in the Bible, 31 chapters. And, you know, today's the 28th of January. You might as well read the 28th chapter. But I've always found, from the way I was brought up, which was not a beautiful background, but I always found that God's guided my life by me trusting in Him. But I live my life by Proverbs chapter 3, trust in the Lord with all thy might, Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And I have found that 18 inches from the head to heart and all your ways, it takes a lordship of your life. And a lot of people hate Christians now, or hate white men, or whatever. I mean, there's such a separation in life. It's so sad, because I grew up in a black neighborhood, and I grew up in a white, rich neighborhood, and it was different back and forth. My dad ended up being at Poudre Valley and at MCR. He was a perfusionist, if you guys are in the medical field. So, you know, my dad slowly built his name up in the medical industry, and it was a good opportunity for me to start out in Fort Collins. I love the town. We just unfortunately had to move to Loveland because of the pricing, but now Loveland seems like it's outpricing Fort Collins in 2025. But I'd have to say this: if you think you're called to the trades, pray about it. It is a career, guys. It is a long-term destiny. It is not just a job. And I'm not making fun of other jobs, because I stocked shelves and night crew at Safeway for years, and get myself in the beginning of college, and I didn't mind it, but I just knew that there was something deeper inside of me. I didn't know I'd be a good entrepreneur, but to be an entrepreneur in this day and age, there's a lot of criticism, a lot of scrutiny. I mean, people scrutinize police officers, and anybody that has a business can get online and just slaughter you. So you definitely have to be a person with morals. You can't just adopt morals, you have to have them. And so trying to bid jobs, making sure that you're doing it enough to make a living on it, make an extra 10% a year, but not gouging people so they hurt them, that's the key fact to running a business. But I do have to say that every mentor that I've ever known in the electrical field, they have been divorced. They have ended up with shoulder surgery, and they struggled with alcohol or some addiction. So this trade is very demanding. It always pulls you away from your home. You're always at someone else's business or building or home. There's a lot of avenues to it. You know, sky's the limit. I know a friend of mine in the past in high school that runs a low voltage business. He makes 8 times what I do gross. And it's low voltage industry, but he's good at it. There's not a lot of code. He doesn't have to deal with permits. And low voltage doesn't catch fire nor electrocute you. So it is a competitive market, but if you have your niche, you can make probably a lot more money at being low voltage. But I've known people who have a pooper scoop business picking up dog poop outside people's yards. The only thing you got to deal with is billing the customer, and the dog's getting out of the fence unless you tell them keep the dog in the fence. I knew another one that does a junk removal business, and he hired a bunch of college kids, and boy, that thing took off. It was huge. And what do you really need? Just put your stuff at the curb, pick it up, and take it to the dump. So, you know, business is about seeing an opportunity and seizing the opportunity. If you see a need, you fill a need. There's always a business opportunity, but I'd have to say that if you feel like there's something inside you that says there's something deeper, then pray, ask the Lord, ask God. If you don't know the Lord, then ask God and ask him for his salvation. So I've been a Christian since I was 8 years old. So 42 years of my life. I definitely know the difference of God being the Lord of my life from my 20s and 30s to now in my 50s. Even in my 40s, I struggled with certain things. But I'd have to say, the Lord is my King. I do go to City Point in Loveland, Colorado. I love these guys. I love Pastor Aaron and Rick. These guys are true blue guys. They're on fire for the Lord. I've known them for 4 years. And I found that church isn't the answer, but I feel like that I'm around people who have a deeper desire to be better. You're not going to find that going to a bar. You're not going to find that going to certain events with people outside in the world. But I have found that, being a business owner is very lonely. I do not put anything about my lifestyle online. I am not on any social platforms anymore for the last 6 years of my life. And, you kind of have to live a private life. But if you feel that God's calling you to something deeper and you want to work, sometimes, guys, I work 80 hours a week, sometimes 60. And my poor wife at times, boy, she busts her buns too inside of the house and takes care of the parts and the billing and everything. And I feel like it takes 2 people to run a business. It's really hard for 2 different people, 2 different heads to run a business and get along at times long term. But she works really hard, and I work hard, and now my kids are starting to work for me, and a lot of people love that. But you know, I haven't forced them. It's their desire. My daughter decided finally, you know, Dad, I don't really want to work as an electrician, but she'll come and pull wire for me. She'll come and help me on a basement or do light fixtures. But you know, my sons are getting in the field, and it's really helped alleviate that pressure. But I've been praying about it. I've hired 20 different guys in the last 20 years, usually one a year. And honestly, only one turned out to be an electrician, but then the crash happened and I had to move back to Loveland. And so that ended up being something that he got his commercial time going downtown in Denver and getting on some high risers, which was always my dream to do. But the bottom line, guys, is the field is a lot of different avenues to it. And if you feel you're called to it, I'll do more videos on it. But yeah, a lot of my videos show you what a day-to-day basis is. And I like residential. I sometimes feel residential can be just as difficult as commercial, especially tracing the wires out. But I do feel it's a knack and it's a gift that God's given me. And I just pray when I start getting really in trouble with a job and I can't figure it out, or I'm dealing with someone on their house that's really difficult to deal with, which happens a lot after COVID. I just pray and I ask God to give me the grace to deal with this thing or just get out. But the bottom line is, you know, it's one of those things that I feel like as a business owner, God's grown me up through it. And I'd say it's not for the weak, guys. It's definitely not. But yeah, this video is getting a little long, so I hope that I help out you guys that are searching. But that's a little bit more about my background. I've never really shared much. And I'll share some more videos about my testimony for some of you that follow me that are Christians. And the other ones that don't, you know, don't get offended. Just move on or let it witness to you. All right, guys, thanks for joining us. Have a great day.